I am Cam Rogers. Hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. Training camp is upon us, so with that, I have 5 storylines to track for you guys. And we'll start things off with who the heck is going to replace Reuben Foster for those first 2 games. And I want to zone in on Fred Warner, who's a guy that I think can certainly make a name for himself during those first 2 games, playing at the will position. You've got Malcolm Smith at Mike. You've got Eli Harold at Sam. But who plays that will position? And I think Fred Warner could be that guy if he beats out Brock Coyle during training camp, right? So that's why I actually have this as my top storyline, because there are big-time depth chart implications with this position here, especially for the first 2 games, but even after Reuben Foster comes back, it could shake up the linebacker depth chart a little bit if Fred Warner really impresses. Heck, if Brock Coyle really impresses in those first 2 games. So possible replacements, you got Coyle, you got Toomer, Elijah Lee as well. Let me know what you guys think. What should the 49ers do? Should they go more of a rotational type of style where they mix in Coyle, they mix in Warner? Should it be one guy straightforward for most of the snaps? Let me know in comments. I want to hear from you guys. Definitely a storyline to watch there, as Foster will not be usable in those first 2 games against the Minnesota Vikings and Detroit Lions. So big-time storyline to watch there. We'll see what the rumors show us as we go throughout training camp. All right, next up, who is going to win the right guard slot? We've got Joshua Garnett as a guy I want to talk about because he has been at the surface of, well, positive headlines to start the offseason. And then all of a sudden, rumors were coming out that the 49ers are going to cut this guy or even trade him. Former first-round selection in the Trent Baalke era. And I've been tracking some of the YouTube comments as well, and it seems like you guys are somewhat okay with moving on from Joshua Garnett, which means Jonathan Cooper could be the guy to win the right guard slot. We know Lincoln Tomlinson is going to be the top dog there, and Cooper is a guy to watch out for because he has that pedigree, much like Joshua Garnett. Mike Person provides some versatile ability. He can play center, he can play guard. Magnuson is there as well. But the future of Josh Garnett very much up in the air. And as we go throughout training camp, remember guys, this is a guy who shed pounds to be ready for the Kyle Shanahan zone blocking scheme. Some 20, 25 pounds, might I add. And being a former first-round selection, you would think he should pan out at some point, but maybe the 49ers leadership is not so patient. We shall see. You guys are watching the 49ers Report presented by the Game Time app. Get up to 60% off all those last-minute sports tickets, concert tickets, and so much more. Chatsports.com/tickets. That's the site to download this 5-star app. Get it done. All right, next up in my list of training camp storylines here, who's going to be wide receiver number 3? And I feel like this is more of a legit question than what we really realize. Trent Taylor, of course, is the guy that everybody's going to point to, but he also had a procedure on his back pretty recently. He's expected to be a full go for training camp, but watch out for Dante Pettis, Kendrick Bourne, heck, Richie James if he makes the team. He's a guy also that stole some positive headlines among the likes of Pettis and Bourne as well. Some names to watch for. Trent Taylor should not be anointed as the wide receiver number 3 right off the bat. As you take a look at the depth chart here, it's Goodwin, it's Garcon, the top line guys. I have Taylor there, but it's a rickety position at number 3. I think Bourne could emerge. He's really coming off a good mini-camp season and a good OTA season as well. Maybe he can carry that momentum into training camp too. So let's perhaps slow the brakes a little bit on Trent Taylor. We'll see if he can really emerge as that wide receiver number 3. All right, how about Joe Williams? Is he in trouble of making the team? I've talked about him before. Reportedly, his reps and OTAs were just with the reserves, and Matt Breida has been more impressive so far in his career. So that could leave Joe Williams on the outside looking in here in terms of making the team. You got McKinnon at number 1, Matt Breida at number 2. Raheem Mostert's going to be 3 because he has a lot of big-time special teams ability. and Joe Williams does not. So that leaves him and Jeremy McNichols on the outside. So it's kind of crazy to think about here in 2018 with not a big-time career behind him, but Joe Williams could be off the 49ers. So keep that at top of mind as you go throughout the training camp season. And then finally, is it time for Richard Sherman to shine? This could be a very important training camp for him. We know what he brings in terms of leadership, in terms of personability, and being able to connect with the young defensive backs and the young players in general on this team. But can he perform in training camp in pads and get it done? That's what I'm tracking. He's got the accolades. He's got the resume. Everybody's saying, well, Richard Sherman's not going to get back to this kind of form. 4-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro, all that stuff. Of course he can. And I'm thinking the secondary for San Francisco is going to be one to be reckoned with, I guess you could say, in the coming season. Really good players back there, and I think Richard Sherman will be the leader of that back end there, along with Ahkello Witherspoon, to make big-time plays. This could be perhaps the most important training camp in the entire career for Richard Sherman. Coming off that Achilles, it's time for him to prove himself. All right, so, folks, you got a question for me. You want to hit me up with anything 49ers related, be sure to comment here on Facebook Live as well as YouTube. Tweet at me at Mr. Rogers99 as well, and we will feature your comments right here on the program next episode on Sunday afternoon. All right, folks, this has been the 49ers Report. I'll see you Sunday.